Welcome back to the Spurs DANalyst. Hope everybody's keeping well tonight on a Thursday. Well, you're back on. Got Nige today, special guest. Thank you, Nige, for coming on. Nige from Purecoys. Now, I don't think anyone's watching at the moment, are they? No, we've got no viewers, so it's fine. But yeah, I just want to say a big thank you for Nige for coming on. We're both, what as I call us, we're the new kids on the block. And so if anybody watches this or joins, please show your support with likes, subscribes and shares. Both myself and Nige have been working hard and we're putting out football content. So please subscribe. It helps us all so much. Nige, if you want to add anything, say hello to the viewers. We've got someone watching now. So big up, whoever that is.
Yeah. Thanks for having me to start with. Love the name, by the way. I love the Spurs DANalyst. I think, really well thought out. And evening to everyone. Hi, Matty. Good to see you, mate. Looking forward to this. Let's get into it.
So just seeing how the show goes. Anybody watching or anyone joins, I want to, we both want to make this show as interactive as possible. So please comment for whatever we're talking about, and we'll try and get as many comments on the screen, and both myself and Nige will answer them throughout. Try and keep it, any comments, try and keep it to the subject we're talking about. And if there's any other comments, we'll do our best to answer them all at the end. So thank you, guys. So the format of the show tonight, obviously we've got a massive game, big North London derby on Sunday, Spurs versus Arsenal. So yeah, what I did on my channel a couple of weeks back with the Newcastle match, I went back and had a look at the performances against Newcastle in the previous seasons, particularly the one where we lost, I think it was 4-0. And it just really helped me kind of predict how this game was going to go. The game against Newcastle. So I'm going to do a little bit about that again today. Unfortunately, I did prepare some slides to have a look at the last two Arsenal games, but I've had a bit of an IT issue and I can't get them up. So apologies for that. But I do have the slides in front of me on another computer. So we'll run through them. So where I want to start with this, Nige, is the game against Arsenal last season. And it was quite early on. Remember Arsenal 2, Spurs 2. That's where I want to go with that. Yeah. Any immediate thoughts when you think about that game?
I actually thought we played really well that game. And I think a lot like this season, it was early in the season, so there wasn't really any form. I thought we put in a really good performance there. I was expecting a heavy defeat, but I thought we played really well. I think the key for us was getting in their faces, closing down really quickly. If we can get that high press like we did against Newcastle, I think we'll have some joy. So you look at our second goal at the Emirates last season when Maddison robbed Jorginho on the ball and broke away for Sonny. I think for me, that's where we could win the game, is that high press. But of course, with Rice out as well and Odegaard, hopefully, then I think we could really get at them.
Yeah, I think so. And I just remember that game. I mean, I think we surprised Arsenal, didn't we, with our game plan? We didn't. At the beginning of that season, we were playing with a high press, high line, and we kind of caught Arsenal out a bit. And we didn't change, did we? And I remember at the beginning of the game, I think, I don't know who it was, but someone gave the ball away and it's like, oh, just clear it out. But it was good. It was refreshing, wasn't it? It was refreshing for Spurs to play and just take the game to Arsenal at their grounds. And I think we were slightly better on that day, Nige, don't you think?
I think we could have. Yeah, I think we could have won the game. It was one of those games. It was a typical Tottenham performance under Ange, in the fact that We gave up some easy chances. I think they went 1-0 up, didn't they? And then there was a moment when Maddison got robbed on the edge of the box.
Yeah, I
And
remember.
it should have been 2, but I can't remember who blew the ball over the top now. But it stayed at 1-0, and then obviously we come back into the game. But it was a very Spursy performance, as in high press, but high line. We got caught a few times. But yeah, I thought we played really well. And if we can do that tomorrow, Sunday, then we've got every chance.
Definitely, definitely. And just looking at the stats on the game, I'm sorry I can't bring them up, but we actually had more ball possession at their ground. We had 53% possession. They had 47. We had 13 shots. They had 13 shots. We had 4 big chances. They had 3. The passes, we outpassed them at their ground, 449 to their 377. Tackles, 28 we had. They had 24. I mean, if you look at those stats, we were really good that day. I mean, does that surprise you when I read them stats out, Nige, that we were that good that day?
I mean, if you'd asked me back then, probably it would have surprised me. You ask me now, and I think it's what we tend to do. We tend to have a lot of possession. We tend to create a lot of chances. But for me, I'm just not a stat guy as such as I like to see with my eye. And
Okay.
for as much as all the possession and as much as all the chances and corners and, big chances at the end of the day is all about the score at the end of the day. And I think at the moment, that's what's letting Spurs down. We are creating chances. We are having a lot of possession. You look at stats in every game and you're like, wow, Spurs have been really good. But it's all
Yeah.
about the 3 points, isn't it, at the end of the day? But the Arsenal 2-2 draw at the Emirates was a really good performance.
How could we go to their ground and outpossess them? That's what when I'm thinking back now to last season. How did we do that? We were like a new team thrown together, completely new style of play, and to turn up and dominate them at their ground was surprising. I don't know what happened to Arsenal that day.
I think we probably shocked them a bit, to be honest. I mean, Spurs usually go to the Emirates, stick 11 men behind the ball, hope to catch them on the counter. Um,
Yeah,
and I think we're just a different team under Ange, aren't we? It is all about possession. Um, Sometimes it's possession for possession's sake, but yeah, we are a totally different side under Ange. You've got to give Ange credit there. We are a lot more attacking. We are better in possession. We're not always better in possession, but we have a lot more of the ball than we used to.
we definitely do. Yeah, we I think this season, I don't know. I think in Europe we're like the team with the most possession. And I know you don't like stats, Nige, but that is
I
quite a big
don't.
stat. That is a big stat, though, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
I
But
know
for
what
me,
you're going to
again, a lot of
say. It's the result.
yeah, and a lot of it is like I say, we got possession, but I think if you were to look at the possession, you'd probably say Romero was on the ball for 90% of the time.
Yeah,
He gets it, he passes it square out, it goes out wide, it comes back. We play in a bit of a horseshoe, don't we? But we're keeping the ball, and while we've got the ball, we're not conceding. So, there are positives. I just like to see the possession be turned into a bit more, a few more goals and a bit more attacking play sometimes.
I agree. I agree. And I think when we get to our kind of predictions, I think I've got a bit to say about that. So yeah, we'll definitely come back to that. Now, I'm just looking at the lineups that day. So that game was on the 24th of September last year. The Arsenal back 5 was Raya, Zinchenko as left back, Gabriel, William Saliba centre back, and White as right back. And then they had a midfield of Fabio Vieira, Declan Rice, and Martin Odegaard. And up front they had Jesus, Nketiah, and Saka. Now, that's not their team now, is it? If I think about it, Arsenal's team, it's a bit different now.
There are a few changes. It'll be interesting to see how they line up on Sunday with the players they have out. But yeah, there are a few changes. But then saying that, I could see a lot of them probably playing on Sunday. Obviously, Vieira's not there, and Rice is suspended. Odegaard's out, but I think otherwise the team might be pretty much there or thereabouts. I'm hearing like Timber might be out, so
Yeah, and what we'll do when we get there, I've actually got like a kind of predicted lineup, which I think maybe this team Arsenal are playing, taking into account their injuries. Same with Spurs. I've got a predicted lineup there. So that day Spurs played. It's actually the same back five that started this season, so I'm not going to repeat their names. We had Sarr and Basuma in midfield, Kulusevski on the right, Maddison centre, Brendan Johnson on the left, and we had Son up front. So, any thoughts on that lineup that day?
it was probably our strongest lineup at the time. Obviously, that was during the 10-game period, wasn't it, at the start? So we didn't really get any injuries or suspensions the first 6-7 weeks. So yeah, that was probably our strongest team, I would say.
And did you remember that at the start of the season, it was Maddison and Son, they were on fire, weren't they? They're absolutely on fire.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know whether it's because they were on fire because teams hadn't just quite worked us out yet. Obviously, we played so different to how Spurs have played over the last couple of years, and Ange was new to the Premier League. I think maybe we shocked a few teams with how we played, and he couldn't quite get the grips of it first 10 games. I think
Yeah.
once obviously we had that defeat, things started to change a little bit. But yeah, I think it was more the fact that we were a bit more of the element of surprise rather than anything else. But yeah, Madison started the first 10 games. I'm like, wow, this is the guy I've wanted us to sign for years, and he's brilliant. And then obviously the rest of the season is the rest of the season. But yeah, if he can carry on that form this season, then I think we could be in for a good season.
Fingers crossed, man. We need Maddison to
Crossed.
really
Yeah,
play well this season and take the team by the scruff of the neck. He's mature, isn't he now? How old is Maddison? 27. He needs to be
27,
our
28.
playmaker.
Yeah,
27,
yeah.
28.
He needs to grab the game, and dictate. And yeah, hopefully this season he will.
I just want to ask Matty's what Matty says here. He says it's funny how we would do anything for a bit of possession under Conte. Now we have too much.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's right. It was under Conte we didn't have enough possession, and now we have too much. I think it's it's kind of the same though, isn't it? Because under Conte we didn't have enough possession,
Yeah, it's
and
the opposite.
it was
Opposite.
frustrating. It was frustrating because we were sat back all the time, and now we have too much possession. But I still feel like a lot of the time it's just passing around the back, and which frustrated me under Conte as well. Because I feel like we did that under Conte too. But yeah, like I say, possession's not like a massive thing for me. I quite happily have 20% possession every game if we won. But
So did you enjoy it
yeah,
under Mourinho when we were playing that style?
I actually didn't mind Mourinho. I actually thought we played some good football under him.
Yeah,
People forget we went to Old Trafford and won 6-1. We
yeah.
smashed 5 past Norwich. No, that was Conte. We played some exciting football, and it's just different. Spurs are so used to having the ball and having great players and mavericks, and under Mourinho and Conte, it's a lot more structured. And we're going to sit in, we're going to catch you on the break. And when you got likes of Kane and Son, you can do that kind of thing.
There
Just
was
makes
some
you
fantastic
frustrated.
matches, Nige. There were some fantastic results when you think, especially
Yeah.
against Arsenal. We beat them quite a bit, didn't we, at home?
Oh, yeah.
And,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it it's frustrating when you think if Ange had a Harry Kane now, how different things could be.
Yeah, that's good point there. I mean, did you see his 2 goals the other night for England?
Oh yeah, he's world class. You know, I know he had a poor Euros.
Yeah.
I still think he wasn't given the service, but if you're getting the ball in the areas, he's going to put the ball in the net still. So
Okay. So the way I'm doing this tonight is that I'm just trying to. So when we talk about like the past games, I'm just trying to see if it gives us any indication of what's it? So just kind of like helping us see how the game's going to go on Sunday. You know, looking at anything good or looking anything went bad, and just kind of. But the next game we're going to go to is it's the home game, where it gets pretty bad. Right, so let's jump into that now.
yeah,
If you remember, it was Tottenham 2, Arsenal 3, and it was the game where we got done with the set pieces in the first half. Do you remember? And the Saka goal against Ben Davies, he caught him out, didn't he?
he did. It was a pretty poor first. I mean, actually, we didn't actually play that badly. If you can remember the game, we actually created a few chances, but Arsenal were just clinical. Obviously, Saka's goal was a nice finish, and they beat us with 2 set pieces as well. So yeah, it was one of those games. I think if we're going to look at things that we can improve, we've got to be better on set pieces. Um, but the Saka goal, you know, that's going to happen again at the weekend. I'm not going to say Saka's going to score, but they are going to get chances when the ball's hit over the top with our high line. So we got to be prepared for that.
Yeah, we do. So just going back to that game, it was when I looked at the stats and the data of that game overall. I know, Nige, you don't like the stats, but there is a point to where I'm coming from with this.
Yeah,
We performed so well that day. We had 62% possession, 15 shots. We had 4 big chances. We outpassed them. We beat them in so many areas of that game. The only thing is we just didn't. It's that first half and the poor goalkeeper. Making them mistakes. And I just think that in the second half we came back, didn't we? Didn't we get a penalty? I think there was a penalty.
Not in like the 90th minute, yeah.
And then there was Romero who scored, didn't he? 64 minutes.
Yeah.
We could have even got a draw that day, but we lost the game in the first half by our poor set piece defending.
Yeah, I think if you're going 3-0 down against one of the best sides in the league at halftime, you don't deserve to get anything from the game. I think Arsenal took their foot off the gas, to be honest, second half. We did play well, we did rally, and we had chances. But this time we've just got to make sure we don't start the way we started last time. We cannot be 3-0 down at half time and give ourselves a mountain to climb.
Do you
Hopefully,
think it'll happen?
I can't see it, but I could, it's one of those games where it's not going to end 0-0. There's no way it's going to end 0-0. We are going to get chances and we're going to concede chances. And it's a question of whether we can be clinical and take our chances and hopefully don't give away too many chances to Arsenal.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we're going to come back to that game. We're the actual game on Sunday soon. Let's just finish off reviewing the second game, and again the lineups. They were pretty similar, Nige. I've got to say, we had Ben Davies instead of Udogie. I think Udogie was injured then. Holberg played that day. We had Bentancur in midfield. So that actually, the midfield was different to the first game away from home. We had Timo Werner on the left, who went off injured after 30 minutes. We had Maddison playing. We had Kulusevski again playing on the right, and Son up front. Pretty similar to the away game. It's really I mean, Arsenal were, they were in the title race then, weren't they? They were in good form. At that stage of the season, they were first in the league when they beat us.
Yeah.
Their form was like win, win, loss, win, win. We were fifth in the league with like loss, win, draw, win, loss. So Arsenal were, in good form there. And that second half of the season for Spurs last year, we really did tail off. So it's not really a surprise in the result. I mean, it's just such a shame that we couldn't defend set pieces, because if we could have won that game.
Yeah, absolutely. It was all on set pieces, that game. Like I say, Arsenal were there for the taking, but because we literally handed them 3 goals, they didn't really need, like I said, I know Spurs did well second half, but it didn't really need to get out of second or third gear for the entire game. It was almost like half-time cam. We won the game. We can relax. We're top of the league. And, players almost like rest, take their foot off the gas, and they nearly slipped up because they nearly let us back into it. But like I said, set pieces were what killed us last time. And I'm hoping, I mean, we haven't conceded from a set piece yet this season. So fingers crossed, we continue that. We've got a new set piece coach in, and we seem to be a lot better so far this season.
Who's the new set piece coach?
You've asked me a question. I have no idea. All I know is it Montgomery?
Okay, yeah, the boys from Scotland.
Yeah. Didn't he used to play for Sheffield United or something? I might have got that totally wrong, but I'm pretty certain he did.
There's definitely been an improvement this season, I think, with the set piece defending. We haven't conceded a goal from a set piece yet.
Not yet, no. So yeah, if we can continue that, Arsenal are really strong from set pieces. So if we can continue that, I think the game's there for the taking Sunday.
Definitely. So let's move on to that game now, because I don't know how you're feeling about it, Nige. How are you feeling about that game? Are you excited? Are you nervous? Are you worried? What's your thoughts? How you feel right now, or how you've been feeling throughout the week?
I think I said it on my channel that it's the worst game to come back to after the international break, but also kind of the best game to come back to. Personally, I would have loved a Southampton at home. Get 3 points, happy days, and move on to the next. But actually, having such a big game could be a good thing. But I hate the North London derby as in a game, because it is just, it's just horrible, isn't it? Luckily, where I live, there's not many Arsenal fans. I'm self-employed. I work alone, so I don't have anybody I work with that are Gooners. So,
You don't have
doesn't
to
really matter. I'll be upset for a day, but I'll get over it pretty quickly.
Do you, just a question, Nige, do you jump onto like Talk Sport or anything like that after a game?
No. Something I've never done. Never been
done.
tempted to.
I wouldn't advise it, especially if we lost.
No. No, I think I'd be effing and blinding. That's why I never do a video like straight after a defeat, or straight after a win. Because if we win, I'm like, we're going to win the league. And if we lose, I hate everyone, the manager, the players, and I want everyone sacked. So I just sleep on it for the night and then do one the next day.
Okay. So where do I go with this? Where can we go? Do you want to? Let's have a look at, before we actually go into the game a bit more. Have you been kind of following Arsenal's performances? Have you been keeping an eye out on how they're doing, or do you have any idea?
Kind of been watching them. Obviously, I watched the Villa game, which they won 2-0. Again, far from convincing. Could have easily lost or drew that game. And obviously, I watched the Brighton game, which I thought, to be fair, I thought Arsenal were really good first half, and I thought had control of the game until Rice got sent off. And then it was a different game, obviously. And Brighton did well, but even then, Arsenal had a couple of good chances on the break to win it. I just think Arsenal are a very, very good side. And I know it's North London derby. Form kind of goes out the window. But I think any Spurs fans that are celebrating the fact that Rice is out and that Odegaard's out and that we're going to win, I think just forget how good Arsenal are. And the likes of Jorginho to come in and party, they're a good side. So it's going to be a really, really tough game.
So do you think they're in form, or do you just think they're just steady at the moment?
I think they're steady. I think it's a good time to play them. It's early in the season. I don't think any team has really got form as in Spurs or Arsenal. Spurs could have easily had 9 points. They could have easily had 3 points. And Arsenal could have had 9 points, could have had 4 points. It's just, I think it's all up for grabs at the moment. I don't think Arsenal are looking amazing. I think they're definitely there for the taking. So yeah, I think it's a good time to play them. It's nice to play them early on when, they haven't had a run of form. So we'll see. I think it's, like I say, I think it's a good chance for us if we turn up.
And what's your thoughts on how we've been playing so far this season?
I think we played really nice football. We are, the thing that I like now is that the thing I hated under other managers is the fact that we used to start so slowly. How many times have we watched Spurs and it's half time and we've had like one shot on goal? Whereas now we are, we've started the season, we are straight in teams' faces, we're attacking, we're creating. So I like that. I like the fact that we are a lot more front footed. We are going for the jugular. We are looking to score goals. But there is that, thing of doesn't seem to matter how many chances we create. If we don't take our chances, we always seem to get punished. And the chances we're giving away are not like half chances. They're simple, easy chances. We look at you look at Vardy's goal was a simple header, a couple of yards out. He then gets a one-on-one, which he misses. These are really, really good chances. Against Newcastle, the second goal was literally a tap in from 6 yards. So it's just disappointing the chances. We're not giving that many chances away, but the chances we are giving away are almost like home bankers. There's a goal written all over it. So if we can tighten that up, I think we've got a good chance. We just got to be a bit more clinical up front. The frustrating thing for me is that, obviously you saw the Newcastle game as well. This high press worked really well. And, we robbed them of the ball 4 or 5 times. But every time we robbed them of the ball, our decision making was so bad. It'd be like, shoot when you should pass, or pass when you should shoot, or hold the ball for too long. It's just really frustrating. If we can sort that out, I think we'd be fine.
No, I agree with that. If you look at our performances, we are playing okay. As you said, we're keeping possession, we're pressing well, we're creating lots of chances. Take away the Everton match, because that was a 4-0. It was straightforward. The other 2 games, against Leicester and against Newcastle, I felt we did dominate the match overall. We had the more chances. We looked the more dangerous. It was just our clinical finishing wasn't there. Now, people have said that when we get Solanke back, he's going to be the one to get us the goals. Now, what's your thoughts on Solanke? Is he what we're missing at the moment?
I'd like to think so. It's very much, I think it's got to this point as a Spurs fan that when you lose arguably the best striker in world football, anyone who comes in afterwards is going to be a downgrade. So I feel for Solanke in that point, because it's not his fault. He's literally coming in to fill Kane's boots. Obviously, the price tag didn't help as well, but again, that's not Solanke's fault. I think he's a really good striker. I think he will score goals for Spurs. I've got no doubts. I've said already that I think he'll score 20 goals this season in the league.
Would you think he'll do that for Spurs this season?
I really do, because I think we create enough chances. I think probably we'd score 10, 15, So I'm confident Solanke can get 20 goals if we can carry on playing the way we are and create chances for him. My concern is when he comes back. That's my concern, but we will
Is he
see.
coming back? Is he still injured, or
I
what is going
I
on?
thought he was. I thought until the day he was back. I thought, yep, Solanke's back. But I've been watching different streams and hearing so many things that it's 50-50. Then I've heard people say that he might have to have an operation, and I'm just like, what? I thought he was back. So yeah, I think it's going to be all up in the air. I don't think
He
we'll
needs an
really know until
operation. Did
tomorrow.
you say no? Did you say he needs an
That's
operation?
that's that's what I heard. That's what
What,
Brian
today?
said. Yeah, Brian Daigle said that he might need an
Oh, no.
operation. Don't
Oh
know how
my
true it
God.
is, but if it's true, that's a bit of a nightmare. But we won't know
Oh,
till the presser tomorrow, I guess.
so yeah, that's not good. I thought he'd be back. I didn't know. Wow,
I
that's an
thought so as
exclusive,
well.
Nige. Is that an exclusive?
Oh, listen, he could well be back. I mean, I heard that Vardy was out at the first game right until kickoff, and then suddenly he turns up and playing. So we'll see. Hopefully, he's
Yeah.
back.
Okay, so what I'm hearing from you, Nige, is that you're saying that Spurs has been okay. It's just the clinical finishing is really letting us down, and if we can get that right, then we can get some more wins. The trouble is, Nige, is that we're now playing an Arsenal team who are a good team, even without some they have some injuries to key players. It's a really intriguing matchup. Now we could have a few out as well. Still, as we said, Solanke, there's Basuma's a doubt, and Van der Ven, we don't know. So will it will kind of equal itself out, won't it? Because if they're missing Rice, they're missing Odegaard, they're missing. They signed a Spanish midfielder. Is it Marino or somebody? I don't think he's played yet for them.
Yeah.
So
It's very much they're very much the same as us in the fact that, like you say, they have Rice and Odegaard out. Marino's got a dislocated shoulder. And I think I'm hearing that there's a few more out as well. Timber may be out. I'm not sure.
I've got it here, Nigel. I've
Um,
got it here. I made a note.
Calafiori may be out.
So this is what I know from what I've looked
Yeah,
today. They have Tommaso out, Marino out, Odegaard out, Declan Rice is suspended, Jesus is doubtful, and Calafiore is doubtful. Their new signing in the summer. We have
yeah,
Richarlison's out, well, he's always out, so there's no surprise there.
yeah.
Solanke's doubtful, Basuma's doubtful, and Van der Ven's doubtful. So they've got a couple more
Yeah,
than
and
us, but
but you look at what we have out, and I'm not comparing. It's not competition. We've got more out than you, but we have literally the spine of our team out. When you look at Van der Ven, Basuma, and Solanke, if they're all three of them are out, that's a big spine of the team gone. So it's I think it evens
not
itself
enough
out.
people
But
are talking about that, Nige, though, are they? When I'm listening to
no,
Spurs fans, they're all talking about Arsenal's players being out, and most fans are thinking, well, our players will be back, but I don't think they will, Nige. I don't think they
I think
will.
no, I don't. I think we just all assumed. Like I say, I did a video yesterday saying Solanke's back. If we got 14, Van der Ven back, because I've just been reading for the last since the international break that these players are going to be back. Van der Ven was left out because of precaution. I thought he was nearly fit for the last game, but they just were taking a precaution with him and left him out. And Solanke was just a knock. So I don't understand how suddenly it might be this week as well. But again, might turn up Sunday and he might both be playing. So we don't know.
Okay. So we've looked at the performances of the team so far. We've just discussed the injuries. Let's have a look at the what we think the predicted lineup would be. And do you have it on the top of your head, Nige, of who you want to play or who taking into consideration our players are going to be fit? Who would you play?
Well, the back five is the back five.
Yeah.
Well, okay. If Van der Ven's fit, the back five is the back five. If it's not, I'd have Dragishin in. Midfield wise, that's the interesting one for me. I'm kind of in a position, and I'm at that point where I'm just like, we've paid, and I keep hearing it. I've read it all over Twitter today as well, that Archie Gray is the next Zidane, that, people at Leeds are like, rate him so highly. And we've paid 40 million for him, yet he's hardly got any minutes. He's got like 8 minutes so far, something like that for us.
Does that annoy you,
If
Nige,
we paid for,
when you hear things like that? Does it really annoy you about comparing him to
plus,
Zidane?
it's not so much comparing him to other players. It's the fact that I'm annoyed that we spent 40 million pound on a player and we're not even starting him. If he's this good and everyone's raving about, why isn't he playing? He's playing. You know, we paid 40 million for him. I've not seen enough of him, so I don't know. But what I've seen in the friendlies, he looks comfortable on the ball. He looks confident. He gives the ball away a little bit, but young players do that.
What
But if he's
position?
this good,
What position, though?
position.
What position would you play him in?
Well, he's number 6 apparently. So I'd not sure I'm starting for the North London derby. Don't get me wrong, but it just frustrates me. We spent all this money on a player.
Yeah.
When we could have been strengthening A in other areas, or B, buying an actual number 6,
Good point. Very good point.
an experienced number 6 who's been there, seen it and done it. And we spent 40 million on a kid and he's not playing. That's just, if he's that good, let's stick him in. But I think the midfield will be Bentancur, Sarr and Maddison.
Okay, so Bentancur, Sarr and Maddison, yeah? Is that right? Okay, hold on a second. Just make a note of that. Maddison, Sarr and Bentancur. Okay, so you wouldn't play Basuma. Oh, well, you wouldn't play Basuma. What if he was fit, Basuma?
If Basuma's fit, yeah, I'd play him. It would be Basuma, Bentancur and Maddison.
Okay, let's just do slash. It could be either of them, couldn't it, on Sunday?
Yeah.
I don't think there's a massive difference between the two players. I mean, maybe Basuma, because of his performance at the Emirates last season, he could be better, but there's not a lot in it quality-wise. Would you agree with that, Nige, between those two?
I think they've both got different attributes. I think Basuma's maybe a little bit more aggressive, maybe a little bit more physical. Bentancur's a little bit calmer on the ball, bit nicer to watch maybe, but neither of them are, wow players. Neither of them get me off my seat, but yeah, I have, I'll be the first one to hold my hands up and say I do like Bentancur as a footballer. I think he's nice to watch. He's elegant on the ball. He always looks to have a second more than he does. But it's just getting that form and getting him to play well week in, week out. He's just very inconsistent.
Consistency for those two players. They need to do it more.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So we've got your midfield, we've got the defence. Now we're looking at the forward line. Who do you want to play against Arsenal on Sunday up front?
Is this if everyone's fit?
Yeah, let's just do that.
If everyone's fit, Solanke through the middle, Sonny on the left, and I would play Kulu on the right.
Okay. Can I give you mine?
Yeah, go for it.
So the back five, picks itself. I would be playing Basuma if fit. I would then also be playing Maddison, and I'd also be playing Kulusevski in the middle. Okay. Now, I'll tell you why. I mean, it's quite brave and it's quite bold. But I think Kulusevski could give Thomas Partey a bit of a problem in there. He's got some strength. He can turn, pull away. And it just gives up another attacking option and another goal threat from midfield. And I don't know if you remember the game against Everton. Maddison and Kulusevski, they played as 2-8s, didn't they, in that match?
Yeah.
And it worked really well. So I would be favouring that. And then on the right-hand side, I would go for Wilson on the right and Son left and Solanke up top. And I like the look of that team. What do you think, Nige?
Yeah, no, I do like the look of that team. It's a side that, obviously, when he played that way against Everton, it was like, oh, he's only playing with one like holding midfielder. That's brave, you know. It's not the sort of thing that, um, but it works so well. But I do think it's something that he will adopt against lower Premier League sides, especially at home. I don't know whether he's be brave enough to do it against the top sides, but I do like it. You know, is I don't see why not. I think Kulu's a really good number 8, 10.
And I think another reason to play that midfield is because of Arsenal have got one or two out there. They've got Declan Rice, who was, a very consistent performer for them last year. He's very key to them. Yes, you've
Yeah.
got Partey, but Partey, he was injured a lot last year. I don't know if he's got back to that form where he used to be good the season before. So I just think there may be an opportunity there to just go for it. And I probably would choose that midfield. So yeah, it's an interesting one. We'll see what Ange does. But you're right, Nige, because we do probably need to be a bit more cautious. It would be better to play like a Sarr in midfield or a Gray, and another defensive mind midfielder. Or if Basuma and Bentancur are both available, you could either select those two and Maddison. So Ange has got quite a lot of options then, if we think about this now, haven't we? He's got quite a lot. And I'm just really thinking, but we know Ange, he just likes to go for it, doesn't he? So us knowing Ange, I think he's going to do it. I think he's going to go Kulu and Maddison and think, look, let's just take it. Just take it to them.
Yeah, he could well. He could well do that. Like I said, I wouldn't be against it at all. It worked really well against Everton. And, I think we are at that point where we play such a high line that it is a question of we are going to score more than you. You might get 2, but we're going to get 3. You might get 3, but we're going to get 4. And whereas that is not going to win any leagues, it's exciting to watch. So I think, why not? We're at home, so why not just go for it? We can't do any worse than last season, being 3-0 down at half time.
So that, alongside us improving our set piece defending, taking the game to Arsenal, and in an ideal world, we take our chances. We're clinical. We got a goal up, or maybe 2. This is where the game could go. But I think now, Nige, I'm going to have a look at the Arsenal setup and what we think, what you think, what I think, what Arsenal going to do, how they're going to play, who's going to play, and then we're going to kind of counter it, because we've been talking like, yes, we're going to take the game to Arsenal. This is what we're going to do. But let's just have a look at the Arsenal from the Arsenal point of view. Now, their back 5 is going to be very similar to the game we played against them last season. The difference is Timber. Timber's coming in at the left back. Now, I haven't really watched Timber. I've got to be honest, Nige. Have you seen him?
I've not seen a great deal, but he looks solid. He looks strong. He's certainly better defensively than Zinchenko. So, yeah, I mean, he's a good player. I heard he was doubtful, but I don't know.
Then looking at their midfield, this is only like a predicted lineup. It's got Hill, Partey, Jorginho, Havertz, Trossard up front as a number, probably false number 9, and Martinelli on the left, Saka on the right. Does that scare you, Nige? Does that put a bit of fightness in you?
Yes, absolutely. Mainly due to the fact that I think the way Arsenal will play, I think they're very much going to play a lowish block against us and just sit back and let us have the ball. And it's going to be one of those games where we probably have 65% possession, and we're going to be like, well, we've had all that possession, because they're just going to sit back, and every time they get the ball, and a lot of people are saying about the midfield, oh, they got this player out, they got that player out. I think they're just going to bypass the midfield. I think you will find they get the ball and it's just a long cross-field pass to Martinelli, to Saka, who literally will be in every time. That's my worry. If we have such a high line, they have got so much pace up front, and you forget they've got Sterling as well, so he could start.
So
You know, they could
so
start literally
you're
all three
talking
of them.
like Arsenal going to play like Stoke, long ball, direct, hit the big man.
What kind of Spurs are so easy to play against, aren't they? In the fact that,
Yeah,
you know, you look even the poorer sides. You know, I think Everton caught us out a few times just with that diagonal ball over the top,
they
and
did.
it's you know, if we play that high, that is my concern. They have got so much pace. I'm not saying they're going to sit back and like literally defend their 18-yard box, but I don't think they're going to be bothered or concerned about not having the possession. I think they just wait and wait and wait till we make a mistake, and then when we do, we've got to be ready for runs from Saka, from Martinelli, from Sterling if he's playing. So yeah, that's my concern.
Well, they've
But
got Sterling, haven't they? I forgot about
yeah,
that. They've signed Sterling.
yeah, but that's my concern. Every game Spurs play, you know, it doesn't matter. That's why possession doesn't really matter to me, because I'm just like, you know, we are so easy to get behind. That's my concern. We can play all the lovely football, but I just like us maybe just to drop 10 yards, not be so high. But yeah, I think that's how Arsenal will set up. I think they will let Spurs
Do you
have
think they'll
possession.
miss Odegaard? Because Odegaard, their main creator, isn't he? He's the one who makes them tick.
Yeah, I think they will miss Odegaard. I think they'd probably miss him more if they were at home. Because I think at home
Yeah.
you're more, you know, you're expected to have a bit more possession and dictate the game. I think, like I said, I'd be quite happy just to let Spurs have the ball. So I don't really think they're going to miss Odegaard that much. I think they're probably going to miss Rice more than Odegaard, just for that defensive, what he does defensively. Um, and you got to remember they got the likes of Jorginho, who's, you know, wasn't it a couple of years ago? He's like second in the Ballon d'Or. So, you know, he's not a bad player. I know he's a bit slow, a bit older now, and he's ex Chelsea, and I really dislike him. But he's still a
Surely
good
our
player.
press will catch Jorginho out, won't he? Surely, if we close him down quickly, we won't. Don't give him the
Yeah, I mean,
time. Get the balls out. I mean, listen, that I think that could be a weakness for Arsenal.
that's the way we caught him like last season, isn't it? At the Emirates, Jorginho had the ball and dwelled on it, and Maddison took it off him.
Yeah.
Definitely, I think for us, it's going to be pressing high, and you know, trying to rob them of the ball. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting game for sure.
And what do you think about them playing either Trossard up front or Havertz, or vice versa? Maybe Trossard will maybe become like an attacking number 10 behind Havertz, or Havertz behind Trossard, or they could kind of switch throughout the game. Do you think Arteta would do something like that for their front? Because they haven't got, you know, a proper number 9, have they, Arsenal?
Possibly, yeah. I can see Trossard maybe playing as a false nine, or I could even see Trossard coming off the left. And I don't know. It's the thing is, I really rate Trossard. I think he's a really good player, really underrated. Always scores, you know. So he's more of a danger. I'd prefer him to be on the bench. I'd quite happily have another player on the pitch. I'd be prefer to have Sterling there than Trossard. I rate Trossard that highly. I think he's a really good player.
Don't you think Trossard's better coming off the bench, though?
Um, possibly, but I'm kind of hoping that if they had Trossard on the bench, that you know we'd be out of sight by the time they brought him on, and it'd be fine. But
Mm.
yeah, I think he's one of their better players. I really do. I'm surprised he doesn't start more.
I'm surprised. Yeah, I mean that I've heard from Arsenal fans that Trossard is much better coming off the bench. When he
Hmm.
starts, he kind of goes missing in games.
Yeah.
I think he's more of a moments player, a bit like Son is for us now, more of a moments player. He might not do a lot the whole game, but then he'll get a goal. He'll get on the end of something. So interesting. Arsenal don't have lots of options, especially if Jesus is out. There's no mention about Sterling at all, so maybe he will be there. I don't know how he'll get on playing. Maybe Arsenal might start with him. I don't know. I really don't know.
Maybe, I think, you look at even like players like Saka. He's a bit of a moments player, isn't he? He can do nothing for a lot of the game, and then suddenly he'll pop up with a brilliant goal. And it's, I think many players are like that, but we've certainly got too many of them.
Yeah, and and Johnson's like that as well, isn't he, Nige? Moments player.
Another one, I think. Yeah, I think he's better off the bench.
Yeah, I don't want to see him starting on what's it say on Sunday. Definitely not.
No.
Okay, Nige. Anything else do you want to touch on about Arsenal's lineup or Arsenal's approach to the game before we move on to the next point?
Not really. No, I just, like I say, I think they are going to play a slightly lower block and just let Spurs have the ball and try to catch us on every time we lose it or give the ball away on the transition. I think that's where Arsenal are going to be most dangerous. So yeah, it'd be interesting if we can make our possession count. Who is this? Find yourself a lady.
I've got a fan. Yeah, look, I am kind of leading up to a bigger question, Nige. I don't know if I've nailed it on the stream, but I did have a question. I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna ask the audience what they think. I'm just thinking if we've kind of analysed it enough. I think I've got a bit more to say about what Spurs need to do. I think I've said it, Nige, to be honest. It's just being clinical, defending set pieces better, taking our chances. You said the same thing. It sounds so simple, Nige, doesn't it? You know?
It does.
But
I think,
isn't there? There's more to it.
There is, but fundamentally, I think fundamentally, if we defend well and create chances and we're more clinical than we have been this season, then I think we've got every chance of winning. Simple as that.
There was something I was going to say then. It's just passed my mind. It's gone. Look, let's just go to that question, which I was trying to come to, and maybe we've kind of answered it in some kind of way, but not directly. Now, I'm going to ask you, Nige, and then I'm going to ask the people watching. I'll show you. Let me get the question up on screen in a sec. I did save it at the beginning. No, I didn't. I'll just say it. So, can we beat Arsenal in football ability? Can we outplay Arsenal? Can we show to Arsenal and any other team watching or rival fans watching that we are a good team and we should be feared a bit? Or do you think Sunday's going to be about we're going to raise our game just because it's a derby? Did that make sense?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, so basically, are we good enough to beat Arsenal at playing football? Or are we we're not at their class, but we might raise our game on Sunday? I think we are a good footballing side. I don't think we are Arsenal's level. But I think there's every chance we can win Sunday. I do think we need Arsenal to be not quite hitting the straps, and I think we do need to be close to our best. But it is a derby, and anything can happen. Only takes, how many times have we seen derby games when someone loses their head, red card, I think footballing wise, I think we've got every chance of winning because we are a really good footballing side. But at the same time, I think we've got every chance of losing because we are so open. So it's kind of one of them where I think yes, we can win. We are a very good footballing side. We've just got to defend well, and if we defend well, I think we can win. Got there in the end.
Well, probably a bit of both, isn't it, Nige, really? There's the passion of the derby. There's that we can actually play good football. And maybe it's the combination of the both that could get us the result on Sunday.
Yeah, and we need the players to be passionate, but not be too passionate. You know, we don't want Romero to lose his head. You know, it's great that Romero's passionate and you know really wants to win, but sometimes he lets it go a bit too far. So we need the players to be at the right level. And yeah, I'm confident. You know, I'm really quite bullish at the moment. I think right now, I think we can win. I might change my mind up by Sunday morning, but
Are you looking forward to it?
I am actually. I think I don't know whether it's because it's been 2 weeks of no football, and I just want to see Spurs again, or whether it's because it's North London. I think it's probably a bit of both. I wouldn't be looking forward to it if we're going to the Emirates. I hate that game. It's a bit like going to the Etihad. You know, even though we've got quite a good record there, or Anfield, where we hardly ever win, and it's like, oh, we're going to lose. You know, playing them at home is slightly different. I am confident, and I am looking forward to it.
What's your game day plan, Nige? Do you have like a kind of like a ritual on the game day on a big game like this?
Not really. It depends. Obviously, depends when it is, but because it's Sunday, like just after lunch, I've got my daughter this weekend, so it will be trying to cram in as much as I can in the morning with her, taking her to the park, etc., going to a cafe or whatever, treating her to cake, and then making sure that she's settled, ready for the game.
Would you watch it with you?
Oh no. She's bless her. It's a difficult one because she's a bit of an Arsenal fan, which kills me to say, but basically my ex and her man was an Arsenal fan, so she's a bit of an Arsenal fan, which I'm trying to turn her the right way because I can't have a child that's an Arsenal fan. No, any other
No,
team's fine.
no, you can't. So is she into football or not really?
Not really. No, she's a lot more into like Taylor Swift and that kind of
Okay.
thing than football. But she does know a couple of the Arsenal players, which is I'm like, how do you know his name? Oh, because I'm an Arsenal fan. I'm just like, no, you're not.
No, you're not. Okay, so what kind of watching at home, just like relaxed, you know?
Yeah, it's as relaxed as I can be. But yeah, it is what it is. I'll probably have one of the watch alongs on in the background. What I tend to do is have a watch along on and have the game on the TV and then just have the sound down and
How
then
does
listen to the
that
watch
like?
along.
I've never done that before. How does it go? I've never done it. What's that like?
Well, obviously, if the game's on Sky, it's easier. So you just got the Sky on, and I just got my laptop on, and either Sava or the Irish Hotspur. So I want to be doing a watch along,
Yeah.
and it's choosing the one usually that's. I mean, I usually
Does
watch.
it line up though with the commentary? Their kind of commentary in
Sometimes
the game or
it
behind, but
it
in front.
it tends to when it's on Sky is not so bad because obviously most people are watching it on Sky anyway. But it's when there's is being watched on another stream, should I say, that sometimes is like 5 or 6 seconds behind. And but yeah, it's just sometimes it's just a question of marrying it up, pausing one and then waiting till they catch up and then press and play at the same time. So they're kind of synced.
That's good. They're good. I might have to give it a
Yeah,
go
no.
one day for
Yeah,
something
you should,
different.
yeah.
Some of those commentators are rubbish, aren't they?
Oh, I can't stand them. No. They're
Especially
so anti Tottenham as well, most of them.
oh, Yeah, I can't stand them. Okay, so look, I'm going to give my say on the game now. And when I jumped on to Tottenham away last night, it was a bit of a depressing show. I've got to be honest. So there's lots of different fans coming on saying their piece about Spurs. There was a couple of fans who were non-Spurs, maybe one actually. There was a West Ham fan who came on for a bit of a laugh. But generally, the mood of the Spurs fans coming on to that channel for the first couple of hours before I jumped on, it was pretty depressing, Nige. I've got to be honest. A lot of moaning, complaining, moaning about players, moaning about Levy. And the fan base, you know, if you take that as a snapshot, very sad state of affairs, isn't it? For people to be so unhappy. And yes, don't get me wrong, we haven't had the best start of the season. And there are a lot of concerns about Ange and the players we've signed, the lack of top quality players that we signed in the summer. But yeah, I just felt my focus, now move on to my thoughts, is that when there's a game like this, Nige, a Arsenal game, I kind of put all that to a side. And it's such an important game. It's a big derby. It's bragging rights. It's you know whoever loses that game, it's sickening, isn't it? It's sickening for whatever fan base. So I'm looking at it. I'm seeing that Arsenal have a few out. Yes, we might have a few out as well, but we're at home. I think Arsenal are not in great form. I think they're playing steady as we discussed earlier. I think there's a massive opportunity here, and I really hope Solanke's fit, that we can actually beat them. We can beat Arsenal at home and just bring a bit of good feeling back to the club. Because I don't know about you, Nigel, but there's been a lot of negativity and criticism. Look, don't get me wrong, I've been part of it. And that Nigel as well. I've heard you, and you've been critical of a number of things. So we're all being critical. I just wouldn't it be nice, Nige, for that Sunday to get that win, just to give us a boost, us fans, something to smile about.
So I think it is such a big game in so many different reasons, not only just because it's a North London derby, but you know, you're right, the fan base is a little bit toxic at the moment. You know, you're either uber positive or uber negative, you know, nothing in between. And you know, if you're too positive, you're a happy clapper. If you're too negative, you hate the club. And
Yeah,
it is difficult, and it would be nice if we could just get that victory. But again, my concern is if we do lose, hopefully we won't, touch wood, but if we do lose, it's going to get really bad for Ange, especially then if we were to go out of the cup. So yeah, this is such a big game for Spurs.
a lot of pressure, Nige, isn't there? There's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's early in the season and people will be like, well, we're only 3 games in. But you got to remember, a lot of this form is carrying on from last season as well. So
Exactly.
it's not just that we've started averagely this season, it's the fact that the end of last season we were pretty horrific. And yeah, but we'll see. We got to be confident. We got to get behind. It's time to get behind the team now. You know, at some point we got to get behind them, and you know, we are going to win a fair amount of games this season.
I think so. I
Just,
do. I do think we're a good team, Nige. I do think we're a good team. I just think that we just needed a bit more to kind of push us up to the next level, get us closer to the top teams, give us more of a chance. So we are relying on the young players when it comes to injuries and kind of changing teams around when the games come up, like, you know, a lot of games, Europe, the cup games, a lot of games, injuries, whatever, suspensions. Maybe the young guys will prove us wrong, but it's the unknown, and it's probably unlikely, you know. So I don't know, Nige. I mean, it's a really crucial game. We lose, we're near the bottom, you know. You know that if we lose the game, if I look at that table, we're only like 3 points from the bottom. It's not good. And then we got a game against Coventry in the cup. Who have we got after that, Nige? Are we going to Brighton away? Got a feeling we have.
No, we've got Brentford at home.
Okay, Brentford.
which again we should win. But then I think we've got United away and Brighton away. So there's some tough games coming up.
West Ham
So
as
it's
well
really,
around the corner.
yeah, it's really important we win our home games. Yeah, this next week or so is a massive week, and this is what concerns me: is that it's a massive week. We could win all three, and we are on a run, and everything's great, or we could lose all three, and it's going to be, yeah, it's going to be very toxic, and you know, the fans are kind of on the edge at the moment, and I do feel even a lot of the more positive fans are starting to not turn towards Ange, but very question his tactics. And I think the more we lose, the more questions are going to be asked. And for me, this is, yeah. Just quickly, I heard you talk about the transfers, the transfer market. We didn't do enough in the transfer market. The players we signed, yeah, all good young players, but we are putting so much pressure on young players coming in and hitting the ground running.
Yeah.
We've got literally we have the same team as last season. Barcelona, and I know Odegaard started a couple of games, but I heard fans getting on his back already, and he's a 19-year-old kid. He's he's going to make mistakes. He's not going to be great all the time. And young players do have peaks and troughs where they can have 2 or 3 good games and then they'll be rubbish for 5 or 6 games. So they're going to need to be brought in and left out. And I just feel that we are 2 or 3 injuries, and these 2 or 3 injuries might already be hitting short of having to play these kids. And then, like you say, who knows? They could be good, they could be bad. We just don't know.
Hmm.
I'm not sounding very positive, am I?
No, you're making a lot of sense, Nige. I hear what you're saying. I agree. I agree with a lot of what you said. I just think even if we do win against Arsenal, I don't think it's really going to tell us too much. We need to get some consistency with some performances, get a good run, good wins. The team have got to prove us wrong, that they can be clinical, that they can defend better. Some of these, younger players, we need to see them and see how they get on in games. We need to definitely stay in that cup. Coventry, for me, is a winnable game, even if we do make some changes. I wouldn't change a lot, but I would make a few. Going at home against Brentford, I think we should win that. And then we've got the Europa League carrier bag, a game we should be winning. Man United away, it's a tricky one to call. We don't know where Man U will be at that stage. Will the new players settle in or not? Then you go on away game to a team who plays in Hungary. I can't even pronounce their name. Sorry. Do you know it, Nige? Fenerbahce?
No, that's the one.
Yeah.
We've had it in front of me. Yeah. I can't remember. But yeah, something like that. Some Hungarian side.
There should be a win. And then a tricky game away to Brighton. So there are winnable games there. But again, there are some kind of ones I would say, I don't know.
Yeah, no. Like I said, I think, and you're right, we are so early into the season. We can't judge yet. We need to be 15, 16 games in before we can start, making any judgment on whether we're a good side or a bad side, whether Ange is struggling or whatever. I think, as much as I feel the fans may start turning if we lose the next couple of games, I think that would be silly, because I do think, like I say, we need to be 15, 16 games in, and then we'll have a better view of actually where we are.
Do you know what,
Nige? So early in the season.
You said that. That's what I made a comment on. I saw Sava's video today. He put a video out. I don't know if you saw it, asking about the game, the Spurs Arsenal game, and I put that as well. I put a comment saying that we won't really know until 12 to 15 games in how good we are.
Yeah.
I want to big up Matty. Thanks, Matty. Cheers, mate. Thanks for being there for us. For your comment. Brilliant.
Appreciate you.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Was you talking on me? That's my trailer for.
No, you're right. You said you commented on Sava's post saying we need to be like 12, 15 games in.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I agree. You can't tell now. Yeah, we can take from last season, how badly we finish the season. But this is a new season. We have, the players are an extra year into playing the Ange way. We've had a pre-season, and there is no doubt we are playing better football. We are better to watch. We are creating more chances. So I'm confident that things are going in the right direction. I am disappointed with certain aspects. I'm disappointed with the transfer window. I'm disappointed that Ange doesn't tweak enough. But
Should we talk
it's
about that
time.
now? Can we talk about that
Yeah,
for
go
a
for it.
minute? About,
Yeah.
Ange and his not being a flexible manager, not tactically changing up. And I'm going to compare him to Arteta because Arteta seems to be a bit more tactical, doesn't he?
He does. The only thing I will say with Ange is I think he's the type of manager that will tweak, but he's only going to tweak when he is absolutely 100% sure every player that plays for him knows the way he wants to play. So until it's almost like he's just drumming it into him, drumming it into him. This is the way we play. I don't care if we make mistakes. I don't care if we concede. I don't care if we lose. Well, of course he cares if we lose, but it's part of the learning curve. We're going to lose some games, and I think he's just still at that point where he's just drumming it into him, drumming it, and then I do think he will start making little tweaks here and there. Obviously, as a fan, we want to see tweaks when we can see it. Like, this is happening, change it. But I do think it'll happen. I'm just not sure when. And my worry is that by the time he thinks about tweaking, it'll be too late for him.
Because, I mean, if we look at the Newcastle game, for example, like we got battered there, didn't we, the last 2 seasons before we played them the other week? And I was thinking, we can't go to Newcastle with the high line. We'll get absolutely smashed, which we did last couple of, especially last season with the 4-0. But if you look at it, it was our high line that why we lost the game, plus our poor finishing. I mean, going to places like Anfield in a high line, I just think it's suicide, isn't it? I mean, you can't. We're not a better team than Liverpool. You can't go to Liverpool all guns blazing because you'll just get picked off. So it's when we talk about Ange and being flexible and adaptable, it's kind of just being sensible, Nige, isn't it? Isn't it just being sensible?
You would think it's common sense. We're playing
Yeah,
Liverpool at Anfield. Let's not
yeah,
stand on the halfway line. Let's be 10
yeah,
yards deeper,
yeah.
But he just won't do it, will he? He just won't
Right,
do it.
right.
And
We got battered last year there, didn't we? 4-0, I
yeah,
think, Anfield. I know we
yeah,
got a couple of late goals, but the game was
yeah.
gone then.
And how many times last season did we see that though? We went to Brighton and we were 4-0 down and we come back to 4-2 and actually, Højbjerg nearly made it 4-3 towards the end. But we see it so often last season when we're just absolutely smashed the first hour. And yeah, but it is the way he plays. And I would love it if he tweaked and dropped 10 yards for certain games. I don't think you have to do it every game. I think a lot of games
No,
will win playing that
certain
way, especially
opposition,
at
like
home.
certain opposition.
But yeah, yeah, absolutely. Certain oppositions just drop 10. I'd probably do that against even like Brighton, I'd drop 10. United, I'm not actually sure about. I don't think they're that good. They're not the United that they used to be. I don't go to Old Trafford now and think, oh, we're going to lose today.
We
I'm more than
outplayed them last
confident we
season,
can.
I think, at their ground. I thought we outplayed them.
Yeah, I don't think they're a good side. I do think they made a few good signings, but I don't see them anywhere near the top six. I think maybe eighth, ninth, seventh, eighth, maybe.
Even with all their money they spent this season, you don't think they're going to be any higher? It's an interesting point there, Nige, because
I just
I
don't think
expect Man United to do a lot better this season. They have to.
they do. But I look at the players they've signed, and I'm not sure they move the needle for them. Don't get me wrong, I like Ugarte, but he's not played yet, so we don't know. Um, Delit, I'm not sure he's any better than what they have.
They're
You know,
calling
I
him
know
in
he's played for
Maguire, weren't they? The Dutch Harry Maguire.
yeah, yeah. I mean, he can. You know, he's played at some massive clubs in Europe, but is he better than Maguire? I'm not sure. I think Maguire's a solid centre half, and yeah,
Nige, I'm going to big up KI Double for jumping in. How you doing, man? He heard us talking about Man United
he
and he's
did.
jumped in the
Yeah,
stream. How you doing, KI Double?
yeah.
How you doing,
Listen,
bud?
United may well finish above Spurs. They may well finish above Spurs this season because we could go either way. I think Spurs and United are kind of like similar paths. I think we play better football than United, but yeah, I think very similar. Same as Newcastle. I think teams like Newcastle, Man United, and Spurs are going to be all there and thereabouts at the end of the season, kind of battling it out for that 6th, 7th, 8th spot.
Yeah, I just to go back on Man United, and I don't want to talk too long on them, but they, for me, that their style of play has got to improve. The amount of money they spent is Ten Hag's third season. He's got to get something going there. There's not really an excuse for me. He's got all these players now. He's just got to deliver. I know they've got a couple out still, and they're probably waiting for them to come back. But they really need to go on a bit of a run. They need to pull it together because, I mean, I don't think Ten Hag will last otherwise.
No, I think, and that's the thing. I think United have got good players, but I just think Ten Hag is so boring. He's his football is just not good to watch at all.
We've got Mad Dog in the house.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so.
Did you see that, Nigel's comment?
Well, the 5-0 one, yeah, we'll beat Arsenal 5-0, and yeah, absolutely, absolutely, maybe win 5-0 or lose 5-0, one or the other.
Oh dear. Oh, what can I say? Yeah, we kind of went off track, didn't we, Nige? We just kind of were just talking about, the worries, the concerns that we both have about, the season, and that even if we do beat Arsenal, it's not really going to tell us too much. We need to look at maybe those 12 to 15 games to kind of see where we're really at. Yeah, I think we've kind of talked about that enough. The last thing on the Arsenal Spurs game, the different pressures. Let's have a look at the different pressures of the two teams. Let's start with Arsenal. If, say, Arsenal lose, how do you think that's going to impact on them at the start of the season? Because they've got to go to Man City away next, I think.
They have, yeah. I think that's the thing. I think for Arsenal, I think for both teams almost it's a must not lose. But for Arsenal, they cannot lose this game because if they do lose this game, City will almost certainly beat Brentford, and then Arsenal go to the Etihad next week, knowing that if Man City beat them, they're 7, 8 points behind already. So, I mean, whereas that's not done, it's too early in the season to say it's done. City will drop points, but to be 7 or 8 points behind 5 games in is a bit of a gap. And yeah, so it's massive for Arsenal. I think Arsenal would be okay with a point. Don't get me wrong. I think they love to win, but I think it's a must not lose for Arsenal. And I think it's probably the same for us.
No, it's just stop you there. What you said about the
Yeah,
points gap. Say if Man City do win, puts them on 12.
yeah,
Arsenal
yeah,
lose, so that's what, 5 points. Then
yeah.
Man City beat them. That is 8 points ahead at this stage in the season.
That's a pretty big gap. That means City have effectively got to lose 3. And already you're thinking, I can't see City losing more than 2 or 3 games all season. So, it's almost saying to Arsenal, you literally have to win every game from there on in. So it is a massive game for Arsenal.
Who's the bigger game? Is it bigger for Spurs or Arsenal, Nige?
I think it's bigger for Arsenal. Because we're not expecting Spurs to do anything this season, are we? You know, we're not expecting Spurs to be challenging for the title. I'm not expecting Spurs to finish top 4. I think we're going to finish round about where we did last season, 5th, 6th, maybe 7th. You know, it all depends. So I think it's a huge game for Arsenal. I think, don't get me wrong, if we lose, it's going to feel pretty disastrous for a couple of days. But if we then go and beat Coventry in the cup, it's all forgotten about.
Yeah.
You know, we're not challenging for the titles.
No, you're right. I think that's a good point, Nige. Arsenal are now, this is the season where they have to win, isn't it? They've really got to get it over the line, and I don't think they will. They haven't signed a striker. They're missing a striker, Arsenal. They're missing. Havertz will get some goals, but he won't. Sorry, I'm laughing at the chat here. It's Lauren. What's the difference between Arsenal and a cup of tea? She says the tea stays in the cup longer. I don't know. Don't you get that, Nigel? I don't know.
I do.
It's a bad joke. Big up, Sava. How you doing, man? Thanks for checking in on us. Hope you're doing well, man. Yeah, so but back to Arsenal. It is, as you said, Nigel, it is a bigger game in the scheme of things for them.
Yeah, we can definitely, don't get me wrong, I don't want us to lose, but if we do lose, it's not the end of the world. I'm not expecting anything from Spurs this season. You know, good cup run, hopefully. But league wise is massive for Arsenal, because if they do fall 8 points behind City already, then they're as good as done, because I can't see City losing more than 3 games this season. I just can't see it. They're just too good.
Fire, haven't they, City? They've really started on fire this season.
Yeah, and the thing is, they usually start slowly. So the fact they've started so well, and Haaland's just banging in goals for fun, I think this could be a season when City just get a record points tally. I don't think there's a team close to them in the Premier League. I think, you know, if we're looking at Arsenal being the team that's closest, and they're, you know, they're already a couple of points behind. If they were to drop points against us and then lose to City, they're just out of it, which is a beautiful thing. But
they brought back Goodwin as well, didn't they? Brought him back from Barcelona.
What a player! Why wouldn't Spurs in for him? This is the frustration for me. There's so many players that we could have gone for, and we've spent so much money on young players that aren't even playing. So just a complete waste. But like I say, we've just got to get behind them now and hope that they I think we'll win. I think we'll win more games than we lose. But yeah, like I say, I'm not expecting top 4 challenges. Just hopefully a nice cup run. I'd quite happily take the League Cup right now.
So Nige, what is your because I was supposed to ask you this at the beginning of the stream. What are your expectations this season?
I've said from the start we'd finish about 7th, 8th. Well, I said 7th after the window. I said maybe 8th. But I said from the start, I just want a cup. It's time to start winning trophies. You know, we have been over the years a massive club, but we've never won leagues. You know, I'm 50 years old. I've never seen us win a league. So all these, you know, people saying like we're not going to win a league. City are way too far ahead of us. They've got the money. Arsenal are too good for us. Liverpool, so many good teams in the league, but we are more than capable of winning a cup. You know, if we were to go all out for the cup, any cup, FA Cup, League Cup, Europa League, I'd quite happily finish 15th and win a cup.
Do you think we can win a cup this year? Is it realistic?
Yes, I think if we get good draws, I think if we get luck along the way, And I think if Ange doesn't make 9 changes in the cup competition, yeah, I did say no, I didn't. I did say Solanke would get 20 goals though, and I'm sticking by that. Yeah, I think we can win a cup. You know, why not? You know, we have to get lucky. You know, if we can, like last season, the FA Cup, we drew City. If we can let the other teams knock each other out and then just creep our way through to the final, there's no reason why we can't. It all depends on the draw, and it all depends on Ange playing a weakened side, which I think he will, by the way. I don't think he'll make 9 changes, but the young players have to play at some point, don't they? So it's going to be Coventry and it's going to be the Europa League. We probably will be
Okay.
out of the cup by Wednesday.
I think I'm about where you are as well, Nige. I think we could finish anywhere between. I mean, for me, it's dropped even lower now after that transfer window. 7th, 8th. We could sneak 5th, 4th. It depends on the other teams how bad they are. Because I don't think we're going to get in there on merit. I just think maybe we're just the best of the rest, or whatever you want to call them. Because I see City, I see Liverpool, I see Arsenal being, better than everybody else. Teams like Chelsea, Manchester United, Newcastle, Villa, maybe they'll be there, but depends on how they manage the Champions League situation. It's really unknown. And unless we start putting our chances away, it could be anywhere between 7th, 8th, 5th, maybe, if we get lucky. And again, with the cup, it's if we get a lucky run. I'm not convinced with us. I'm not convinced by our team. We're regressing. And I was thinking about this yesterday. We are actually regressing, which is a bit strange, isn't it? We should be improving. Going into this season, we should be better. We're not seeing anything different from Ange. Ange has not shown us in these 3 games anything than what we didn't know last year. So, again, it's going to be one of those seasons, unless they prove us wrong. Suddenly, something we see, and we will see in the next, 4 or 5 games. But no, it's not good, man. But look, let's look at that Arsenal game and at least try and get a win and give us a little bit of joy, even if it's just for that evening, even if it's just for bragging rights. But in the end, it's not really going to mean a lot in the bigger picture.
No. I mean, I've looked at the other sides. I mean, before the season started, I looked at teams like Man United. I looked at teams like Chelsea, Newcastle, Villa, and I thought all these teams have signed really well and they're all going to finish above us. But what I've seen from Villa so far, they look okay. But, like you say, they got the Champions League. So who's to say how they're going to fare? We just don't know yet. Chelsea, I will say, do look good. I think Chelsea could get into the top 4. Bit inconsistent, but I do think they got a really good squad now. As for United, I'm just like we've just said, I'm just not sure about them. I don't think they're any better than last season. I think they are poor defensively. I don't think they've got anything up front that would worry me. And
Xerxes, what's his name? Holland, or how do you pronounce
Højlund.
Højlund, that's it. Højlund and Xerxes up front.
Yeah, and Højlund's been injured so far, hasn't he? Starting the season. So and Xerxes, well, he looks okay, but he doesn't. I don't look at him and think, wow, they've signed a striker here. So I think United would be pretty much where they finished last year. I think Newcastle haven't done enough in the transfer market. I still think they'll be there or thereabouts. Again, like I said, I can see Spurs, Man United, Newcastle battling it out around 6, 7, 8. So it's just a question of whether we can get above them. I don't think there's any reason why we couldn't finish 6th, maybe 5th at a push. But by the same token, we could be 8th, 9th, 10th. It's going to be one of those seasons where we've just got to take it game by game, I think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we were we were pretty lively at the beginning of the show, but after we've started
Very
to
all
delve
depressed
into
now.
the kind of faults of the Spurs and the worries and the same old stuff, it's kind of it just gets you a bit fed up, doesn't it? It does, it does.
Yeah.
But look, I've got a question for you, Nige. If you could send Ange a message, and I'll ask this to a chat as well, and please don't be too rude. If you could send Ange a message, anything, what would you send him?
It would just be 3 words, and it would be drop 10 yards.
Drop 10
Simple as that.
yards.
Just drop 10 yards. I think we would be a lot better, just slightly deeper. And yeah, that's it. I think if we did that, I think I'd be more than happy to say I think we could finish top 4. But just that high line, I think we will lose games we shouldn't. What about you?
3 words or a message to Ange would be, oh, I don't know. I don't know. Let me think about that one, because it's there's a lot I would like to ask Ange, but I don't think he would like it. You know, I don't think he would like it, because I think Ange. Do you remember Nige last season? He was going on about he's going to challenge for the league. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
And then this season it's gone a bit quiet, isn't it? It's gone a bit quiet, and the transfer window's finished. He hasn't got anyone really, any top players other than maybe Solanke, but who knows what's going to happen with him. I just do you think he is a puppet, Nige? Do you think he is just kind of playing, just going along with it all?
I certainly don't think he's been. I don't think he's been backed the way that he wanted to be backed. I think most of the signings, even though Ange will say, and this is where I will blame Ange, he has come out and said, all the signings that come in are my signings. I sign them all off. He also come out in the summer and said, second season, I tend to win things. He said so much. And then, like you say, since the window's shut, he's been pretty quiet. I don't think he's got the players he wants. I think a lot of the players are club signings, but he's not going to come out and say they're club signings. You know, he's at his dream job. You know, this is the biggest job Ange will probably ever have, realistically. You know, he's been in Australia, he's been Asia or wherever, and he's been in Scotland. Realistically, he's not going to manage a Liverpool, a Arsenal, a Chelsea, a Man City, a Man United. So Spurs are the biggest job he'll have. So he's not going to come out and say, no, they're not my signings. You know, I didn't want these players. You know, a Conte would, you know, a Mourinho would. So yeah, in that sense, I think Ange is probably a bit of a yes man. But I don't blame him for that either, because if I was in a job, the best job I'd ever have, I'd probably be the same. So yeah, I feel a little bit for him.
Once he leaves, Nige, once he moves on and gets sacked or whatever, I wonder if we'll ever find out the truth.
I'm sure we will. We usually do, don't we, at some point? You know, how many managers have come out and said, I wasn't backed after they've left? And, you know, I'm sure we will. But sadly, while Levy's in charge, this is the way it's going to be. And, you know, it is what it is. Ange's got the players, not the players he wanted, I don't think, but he's got to work with what he's got. And you just got to hope that he can be, as a Spurs fan, you just got to hope he can be successful in any way, whether it be a cup, you know, forget about the league. You know, anyone thinking we're going to challenge for the league in the next 2 or 3 years, crazy. You know, but if we can win a cup.
Sorry, look the comment.
Would be better. Yeah, I agree.
Oh God. Oh, anyway. Listen, Nige, let's wrap it up in a minute. It's getting late, and yeah, I've got to go and do something. But prediction. Let's have your prediction for Sunday. Let's finish it off on that.
Sunday. Okay. I'm gonna end positively, and I think we are gonna win 3-2.
3-2. I'm gonna make a note of that. 3-2, yeah?
Yep.
I think as long as we got Solanke playing, I think we might nick it 2-1.
Nice.
Matthew's
So
going
we end
2-2.
positively. We think
Mad
we're going
Dogs,
to
what are
win.
you going
Definitely
for?
not going to lose.
Definitely not going to lose. Nige, hang about for a minute. But a big thank you, Nige, for coming on today. It's been really fun. Yeah, I've enjoyed it. Have you too? It's been great. It's great to meet you. But yeah, it's been really good. Thank you for everybody in the comments and getting involved. And yeah, there's been some funny ones tonight, but some strange comments. I haven't put them all up. But anyway, thanks for being here anyway. Make sure you smash the like button. Please subscribe to Nige at Purecoys. And yeah, subscribe to myself as well if you want. That'd be good. And I'll be back after the game against Arsenal with my review. Cool. That's going to be a lively one, that one, depending on which way it goes. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, Mad Dog, let's just a couple more comments before we end it. I think we'll miss about 50 corrected chances, a record-breaking match. Oh my God.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Oh, that would be something, wouldn't it? Cheers, Mad Dog. Thanks for joining in. And what's this? What's the name of his channel? Yeah, it's Nige Purecoys. That's right, Nige, isn't it? I got that right, haven't I?
Yeah, either Nige at Purecoys or just Purecoys. Yeah, should be able to find
it. Good night, everybody. We'll be back, and yeah, take care. Come on, you Spurs.